All right. Well, welcome to our team training for tonight. I am really excited about this topic. It's funny because sometimes I don't know what I'm going to train about until the day of, and I'll just start thinking, what do I want to train about tonight? And Talina had actually posted a something on Facebook today, and it said, "Your vibe attracts your tribe." And I thought, you know what, that is a good topic. That's a great thing to talk about because your vibe does attract your tribe. And we're going to talk about a little bit about what that means. And then I've been reading a John Maxwell book, and there was some really great points that I felt like really was good for this topic. So we're going to go over those 10 points and see what you guys think about it. I think you're going to love it. So what does the word vibe mean? Well, it's the you that you put out to the world. So what are you putting out to the world? Because whatever you're putting out there is what you're attracting back to you. So do you ever notice how really incredibly positive people, that it seems like positive things always happen to them? It doesn't matter what situation they're in. Something terrible could happen to them, but somehow they come out smelling like a rose, right? Well, it's normally because they're putting out those positive vibes. And when they look at every situation, they're looking at the positive side. So what they give to the world is what they're receiving back. And when you spend your days being positive and just really authentic, you're going to reap the same back from the people around you. So that's just something I want you to always remember. Now, tit for tat, okay? Another thing that you may notice is that if you know someone that's negative all the time, or they're always having a pity party, they're the ones that always seem to have bad service at a restaurant. They get stuck in the rain. Everything bad happens to them. But they're negative all the time. So it really works both ways. When you project negativity, it's returned back to you in spades. So we're going to talk about the law of the mirror. And I don't know if some of you have heard of this before, but it's a John Maxwell term, the law of the mirror. You have to see value in yourself in order to add value to yourself. And lots of times, sometimes we may not see that value in ourselves. And I remember when Sonia came to Sikeston a couple weeks ago and did a training with us, she actually, when we first got there, she asked us to all stand up and say 3 things about ourselves. And she said, I'm going to start. She said, I love to inspire people. I can't remember what she said, but she said something like, I love to inspire people. I'm really outgoing, and I'm genuine. And she said, so everyone else is going to get a turn, and that's what I want you guys to do. So everyone in the room went around and said 3 things about them. By the time it got around to my table, which was the last table, people started saying a lot more than 3 things. They were saying like sentences about themselves. But somehow it turned to where we would say 2 things about ourselves and then 1 negative thing. And she's like, why did you guys start saying something negative about yourself? She said, we can talk all day long when we're looking at the negative stuff, but it's sometimes really hard for us to pick out 3 things that are really good about our personalities, or that's really good about us, and to tell people, these are my 3 strengths. So the thing is, though, is that we have to see value in ourselves in order to add value to ourselves. So we're going to talk a lot about that tonight with the law of the mirror. And this all comes from the book that John Maxwell wrote. It's The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Once we get through this training, if you feel like that you need to work on some of these things, this will be a really great book for you to get, okay? So the law of the mirror. Have you ever looked around and asked yourself why you are where you're at in your life right now? So have you reached some of the dreams that you imagined as a child? Now, when we're talking about this, we're not necessarily talking about, do you live in your dream home and do you drive your dream car? But are you where you imagined yourself being in terms of the direction or the purpose of your life? Are you doing what you always dreamed to do? Are you helping people? Are you, what did you dream about your life being like? Not the space that you lived in, but how did you imagine living your life? Are you doing that? How are things stacking up? Are they the way that you expected them to be, or is it different? I'll tell you that if I had understood the law of the mirror at a younger age, And I will tell you how old I am. I had to think about it the other day when someone asked me. I am 32 years old. And that's still pretty young, I think. There was a time I thought 32 was really old, but now I don't think it's very old. But still, I'm pretty young. I have a lot of my adult years left, right? I still feel like if I had understood the law of the mirror when I was younger, I would be much farther in life than I am right now. And I don't think I'm doing too shabby, but I think I would be so much farther in life. You see, whenever I was young, I actually didn't realize it, but I did suffer from low self-esteem, and that carried on through my adult life. As I got older, I have realized, and really since Plexus has come into my life, I've realized that there's some things I need to work on. And so John Maxwell teaches us that the way that we can address these issues is that we really need to just work on our personal development. It's really tied on how we see ourselves. So if you're working on personal development, you're doing what it takes to work on yourself. He says that the people who do not reach their full potential, generally, it's because they have low self-esteem. So we're going to talk a lot about that, because if our vibe attracts our tribe and we have low self-esteem or we have issues that we need to work on ourselves, we are attracting the people that are most like us. And if we need to work on those things, we're attracting people that also need to work on those things as well. So just think about that, because if we can overcome some of these obstacles that we have, then we're going to attract the people that don't need to work on them, and we're not going to have to work on those things with people, right? We're going to already be seeing some of the success that we can possibly see. So there are 10 steps to build self-image, and that's what we're going to talk about today, because if we build our self-image, then your vibe is going to attract people that have a strong self-image. The first thing that you can do is guard your self-talk. So I want you to imagine that you have this little person that says, you know, those TV shows, they used to do this back in the probably 90s or 80s, where they would have like the little devil sitting on one shoulder and the little angel sitting on the other. And, you know, the angel would tell you all the good things and the devil would try to get you to do all the bad things. Well, I kind of picture that. Sonia calls it a monster sitting on your shoulder. And they're telling you all the bad things. So you may go to a conference. Like whenever I went to Lori Harrison and Sonia Dudley's training in Nashville about a month ago, I walked out of that room feeling like I could take on the world. I was so excited. I was so pumped up. And this even happens at convention and things like that. We feel like, oh, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to rock this business. Nothing's going to get in my way. And then you get in your car and you're driving home. And that little monster shows up on your shoulder and says, who do you think you are? Why do you think that you can do what Sonia's doing? Why do you think that you can become a Diamond Ambassador? Who do you think you are? And then you start believing it, okay? You have got to guard that. So like Sonia even says, you can even just kind of knock that little guy off your shoulder and be like, get off there. I can do this. I know I can do it. Just remember, like Robert Kiyosaki says, it's not what you say out of your mouth that determines your life. It's what you whisper to yourself that has the most power. So if you see that little guy show up on your shoulder, maybe in your situation it may be that you're trying to talk yourself into doing a launch party for a new ambassador or an event in your town. And you're like, I'm going to start working my business. I'm going to do some launch parties and I'm going to build it up to do an event for the 5 or 6 ambassadors in my area. And then all of a sudden that little guy shows up and says, who do you think you are? You don't know enough about Plexus. You don't know what you're doing. What do you do in that situation? You can knock that guy right off your shoulder. Victor Antonio at convention, he taught us to use the delete button. So he said to imagine the palm of your hand that you have like a Sharpie marker, and that you could like draw a little circle. You don't have to draw the circle, but just imagine that you have a circle there. And whenever somebody says something to you, or maybe you have that self-talk going on in your head that you're saying, oh, you can't do that, push the button and verbally say, delete. Delete. You're getting that out of your head. And what I do is I have I have affirmations posted all through my house in different places. This is on my desk. I have them on my bathroom mirror. I have them on my wall, like by light switches on our door as we're going out the door. Just about every room in my house, I have some affirmations posted. So if I have that little guy show up on my shoulder and it says, "Who do you think you are? You can't do that." Do you know what I do? Knock that guy off and I say, "You know what? I am more than good enough and I'm getting better every day. I can do that. The past has no power over me. I am good enough and I'm getting better every day." And I verbally say it. And the more you verbally say things out loud to yourself, the more your mind starts believing it and the less that little negative guy shows up on your shoulder. It happens to all of us. So if you have that little negative guy showing up on your shoulder, don't feel bad. But just know you have to knock him off, say it out loud, something to contradict what he's saying to you or what she's saying to you. I am more than good enough. I'm getting better every day. I compare myself only to my highest self. Whatever your affirmations are, say it out loud, knock that guy off, and move on. Number 2, stop comparing yourself to others. In this business, it's really hard, isn't it? It's really hard. I keep looking over the corner. If you guys see me recording, I'm looking at you guys because I have a panel of you guys sitting over here. But stop comparing yourself to others. Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. I have always loved this Dr. Seuss quote, but this is true. Don't compare yourself to others. Be who you are. There's only one you, and God made you perfect, okay? There's a reason why you are the way you are. There may be some issues that you need to work out and to kind of get over. Maybe you do have low self-esteem or whatever the case may be. That's okay. We all are in a journey of life. We all have things that we need to overcome. And you know what? No matter what you may struggle with, it's usually because you're going to be able to relate to somebody someday. And you're going to be able to say, you know what? Me too. I went through that too. And this is how I was able to overcome it. You can relate to them through your struggles. But don't compare yourself. Just because one person may get to diamond in a year and it takes you 5 years, or if it takes you 3 years, whatever, it doesn't matter. It does not matter, because you're on your own journey and you're going to get there if you don't ever give up. All right. Number 3, this is one of my favorites. Move beyond your limits. So Charles Schwab says, when a man has put a limit on what he will do, he has put a limit on what he can do. So I thought about this today when I was putting this together, and I thought, this is exactly what I did when I started working out a couple years ago. I joined a local gym, and the way this gym was structured is it had all the machines in the middle, like the treadmills and the ellipticals, the stair steppers that were in the middle, and then around them were all of the weight machines. So when someone was working out on the treadmill, they would pretty much be watching the people that are on the weight machines. So guess what I did? I didn't want to do the weight machines. I didn't want to do the weights because everybody would be watching me. So I put a limit to what my body could do because I was not willing to use the weight machines or to even use the free weights. I didn't want people watching me. So therefore, my body was limited on what it could do. So recently, as you all may know, I joined the CrossFit gym in town, and we have been working out. And I have pushed my limits. I mean, let me tell you, my body is doing some things I hadn't done since high school, and it's crazy. But I decided to not put that limit on what I would do anymore. I'm now doing the things that I never thought I would be able to do because I stopped limiting myself. Now that's with working out, but we do this with Plexus too. I've heard people say, you know what, Renee? I know you enjoy getting on stage and doing these Plexus events and things like that, or doing these trainings on video, but I don't like getting on video. I don't like people looking at me. I don't like pictures of me. I don't like talking to people in front of a group of people, so I won't ever do that. Well, when you say that, when you say those things, you know what you're doing? You're putting a limit on what you will do, so you've also put a limit on what you can do. You are limiting your business when you say, nope, not interested in doing that part of it. Not going to do it. You're limiting what you can do with your business, okay? So just because you think that you can't do something, I can tell you everything in this business is a skill set. And when there's a skill set, it means it can be learned. And when you think that you can't, it's fear talking. And what I've always said, and there's quotes out there that says it, to get to success, you have to go through the fear, okay? So don't put a limit on what you can do or what you will do, because otherwise you are going to be limiting what you can do. Number 4 is add value to others. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you can know everything that there is about all of Plexus. You can know every ingredient of every product, which I don't recommend because I don't even know that. It doesn't matter. You have the ingredient list you can use and things like that. But you don't need to know it all. You do not need to know it all, but you do need to care, and you need to add value to people. How do you add value to people? You listen. You can send them cards in the mail. You can give them a phone call and say, hey, I was just thinking about you today. How are you doing? Take them to lunch. Hang out after events. Spend time together. Add value to people's lives. Because when you show people that you care about them, it can mean the world. It can mean the world. I'll give a shout out right now to Sammy, Sammy Creech. She recently sent some cards out to some different people, and she does this randomly, and I love it. I think it's awesome that she does this. Just because one person doesn't get a card this week doesn't mean they're not going to get it next month, because she just looks for people that, hey, I saw this was going on in their life, or somebody might just cross their mind, and she sends something to them in the mail. And I've seen some people posting on Facebook, I got this card. You have no idea how much this was needed right now. And that is huge, you guys. Add value to people. And because you know what? I'm trying to think how I'm going to word this. Plexus isn't going away tomorrow, okay? It's not going away for many, 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 many years, if ever. But if it did, we would all have the relationships that we built. And it would be, I would feel like I haven't lost anything, okay? We have so many new friends that I feel like are family members to me. So if you guys do that with your teams, it's not, it's just, that's what's important, okay? The money is the icing on the cake. The relationships is what's important. So just add value to people and build relationships. That's going to really help with your self-image and your self-esteem. Number 5, do the right thing even when it's the hard thing. Sometimes that can be tough, right? Sometimes we think, oh, it'll be easy just to do this. Nobody will even know. Well, I remember when I went to College at the Ozarks as a freshman, we had to go through a 10-day character camp before we went to college. Like 10 days, hardcore from the time we got up to the time we went to bed. It was just, they called it character camp because they were wanting to build character for the new students that were coming into the college. And character is defined as, let me see if I get this right, what someone does when no one's watching, okay? So who you are when no one's watching. Do the right thing, even when it's the hard thing, even if nobody knows. This kind of goes into the business when we think about, let's say you're talking to a new person about Plexus, and they're like, hey, oh my gosh, you're doing Plexus now? I've already heard about that, I thought about doing it a few months ago, but I never got started, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, you get excited because you're like, ooh, somebody's excited about Plexus, so you start telling them all this information and give them a sample. But what's the right thing to do? You already heard about Plexus? Where did you hear about it from? And they may say, I saw it on a yard sale site. I don't even know who was selling it. Free game. That's yours. Okay? They may say, I went to a vendor booth one time and somebody was passing out samples and all that. You know what? They didn't make a connection with the person that was at the vendor booth. That's fair game. They may say, my sister-in-law sells it. What do? You send them to their sister-in-law. You can answer questions, say, hey, I'm happy to answer your questions, but since your sister-in-law is an ambassador, you really need to go back with her. We try to keep family members together and things like that. But I'm so glad that you asked me lots of questions. If she decides to not, if she gets out of it someday or something like that, here's my card and you can contact me then, but definitely go with your sister-in-law. That's the right thing. Even though it may have been hard to ask all those questions because you really were excited that you might be getting a new customer or a new ambassador. You have to ask the right questions, even if it's hard, okay? All right, we'll move on. Number 6, practice small disciplines daily in a specific area in your life that you need to work on, okay? So if there are specific things that you know that you're weak in, let's say you are weak in product knowledge. Like you want to be able to stand up in front of a group of people and tell everybody about the products, but when you do, it takes you an hour long to tell them all about the products. You know that's the weakness of yours. Spend a little bit of time every day learning about one of the products, maybe the Fast Relief Cream. Sit in front of the computer and record yourself, or sit in front of a mirror and work on it just a little bit every day. That's going to help with your public speaking skills. It's going to help with your product knowledge. Maybe organization is something that you're weak in. Spend a specific time every day working on organization. Respect your efforts. Respect yourself. Self-respect leads to self-discipline. So when you have both firmly under your belt, that's real power. So if you can respect yourself, then that's going to lead to self-discipline. Okay, when you have both of those, self-respect and self-discipline, then you have control over your life. Okay, so that's why we need to work on these specific areas in our life, because we're learning to respect ourselves by improving in those areas, and also to be disciplined enough to do that every day. All right, number 7. Celebrate small victories. So don't wait until you reached your goal to be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself every step of the way. So let's say your main goal, because a lot of people on this call I know want to become an Emerald Ambassador. That's usually our big goal when we get started. Emerald's one of those big things that we really, really see as something like, oh, that'd be so awesome. But there's lots of steps to get there, isn't there? We have to first become an ambassador. And then we have to become a senior ambassador, and then we have to become a silver, and then a gold, a senior gold, a ruby, a senior ruby, along the way. And sometimes it's easy to forget to really celebrate those things. It's a big deal to become a silver ambassador. It's a big deal to become gold. It's huge to become a senior gold. It's even bigger to become ruby, and it's so exciting to get to be senior ruby because, man, Emerald's right around the corner. But sometimes along the way, we forget to celebrate those things. Like, don't forget that. And sometimes in between those ranks, you need to celebrate the small victories in between them. Let's say you're a gold ambassador and you're working towards senior gold, and it takes a few months to get there. It could be discouraging if you're not celebrating victories along the way. So what kind of victories could you celebrate? How about, how many people can I get on my team to silver this month? So what if you celebrated every time that one person on your team became a silver ambassador because you helped them? So that's something you can even work on. If your goal is to help people become silver, then you're scheduling 3-way calls with them. You are doing trainings with them. You're being focused. You have a goal in mind and you're working toward it. And then you can celebrate that. You may not have made it to your big goal yet, but you're celebrating that small goal along the way. Number 8. Embrace a positive vision for your life based on what you value. Okay, this is one of my favorite quotes ever. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny. So see why it's so important that we guard our self-talk? Because our self-talk is our thoughts, right? So we go back to our beliefs become our thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. So if you're thinking negative thoughts, what's going to happen? The next thing you know, those negative thoughts are become your words. Your words become your actions. So now your negative words become negative actions. Your negative actions become negative habits. And then you have negative values, and then your destiny is all negative. That's no fun, right? It'd be a lot more fun if we said it the other way around. So your beliefs become your thoughts are positive, your thoughts become your words, which are always positive, and people want to be around you because you're positive and they're excited to be around you. So now your words, your thoughts become your words become your actions. You're out there having fun, you're looking at the good side of life all the time. Your actions become your habits. So now you don't even think about it. You're just positive all the time. Your habits become your values. So now people respect you because you have really great values, and your values become your destiny. And you have a huge network of really positive friends and family who love you. And everywhere you look, everybody's in a good mood. Sounds like a pretty good life, right? That's why it's so important that we guard what's going on up here. We guard it and we change it to positive. So important. So embrace a positive vision of your life based on what you value. And you can also make a vision board with this. This is where you're always going to be looking toward the positive things. So what are some positive things that you would like to see in your life that maybe aren't happening yet? Put it on a board. Put it on, you can even use your phone and do a pic collage or something like that and put it on your phone background where you can see it all the time. Based on things that you value, make it positive. Look toward those things and guard your thoughts on it. Don't think I could never afford that, or don't think I could never do that or go there. Think I can't wait until the day that I can. Okay? Number 9, practice one-word strategy. So down here at the bottom, Kevin Hall, he's an author of the book Aspire. He encourages his clients to select one word that best describes him or her. So if the word is positive, dwell on it every day. If it's not, change your word. Okay? So I want you all to really think about a word that best describes you. This is a tough one. Okay? We got 10 minutes left. This is a tough one. Because you have to think about something about yourself. So what's the word that best describes you? You may have to look up some words online and really think about them a lot. But maybe your word's loyal. If you're loyal to people or loyal to, whatever it may be, then you would focus on that word and dwell on it every day. Now, if you can't think of a positive word, then you've got to change your word. You can even ask people, if you were to describe me in one word, what would be a word that you would describe me? Maybe ask 10 or 15 people. Most people's probably going to give you something positive, most likely. But if somebody gives you a negative word, don't dwell on that. Think about what they said. Take it, think about it and think, well, how can I change that? If they think that about me, how can I change that from now on? And change your actions so that way you're changing the word. So if a thought corrupts language, language can also corrupt a thought. So we're going back to the thoughts and how what we think and what we say can make a huge difference. Number 10, take responsibility for your life. So Eleanor Roosevelt says, in the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves. The process never ends until we die, and the choices we make are ultimately our own responsibility. So this is the last step in building your self-image. But ultimately, we all have to take control. We have to take responsibility for our life. Nobody can change things except you. Okay, so if you have goals in this business, if you have, a big goal in mind, you're responsible. Okay, we can help you. We're here to help you. We're your teammates. We're here to cheer you on. We're here to help you along the way. If you're struggling here and you need an ear, or you need somebody to help you through a call or whatever, but ultimately it's your responsibility. Okay, so take control of that. Get out of your own way. Okay, get out of your own way. 99 times out of 100, if someone is struggling, it's because of mindset, and it's because they need to get out of their own way. Okay? I'm going to quickly go on. We're almost done. So, your vibe attracts your tribe. We're going back to that. What are you attracting? How do you post on social media? We all have bad days. We all have bad days. Boy, those Grey's Anatomy people really got on my nerves the other night. Did y'all see that? Posting everything about what happened on Grey's Anatomy before I even got to watch it. Probably shouldn't have posted. Y'all are driving me crazy, but they were. But seriously, that's not terrible, but when people are posting negative every single day, my husband drives me insane. My kids drive me crazy. All the time, that's negative, and people don't want to hear that. But what if you're posting on social media, what a blessing my husband is to me? Do you think that when you go to bed at night and you lay your head on the pillow, instead of complaining about your husband and you're looking at the positive things about your husband, that you're probably going to feel more positive toward him? That's just an example. Anything in life, if you look at the positive, there's always positive in every situation, even when you don't think there is. There's a lesson to be learned in every situation. But even if something negative happens, it doesn't have to be blasted everywhere. It doesn't have to be verbalized. It doesn't have to be posted. Do you smile when you speak? When you're on the phone with somebody, do you talk like this? Because let me tell you, if you're talking like this, they can hear it in your voice. Or do you smile? Let me tell you, when you smile, your voice changes. Okay? Guess what happens too when you're typing out an email? You're typing out an email and you're frowning, you're in a bad mood. You can hear it whenever you read it. So I always, whenever I send an email or I send a message, I typically will read it 4 or 5 times, and I make sure that I smile when I reread it, so I can see if you can hear the smile in the text or the message. So that's something to just think about. How are you? Because anything that you put out there, you're attracting the same. So if it looks negative or sounds negative, it's going to be perceived as negative. Do you make yourself presentable when you're going out? When you go to the grocery store? Guilty. Yoga pants and tennis shoes sometimes. Right out of the gym, hair in a ponytail, no makeup on. Who am I attracting? I'm probably not. Yeah, everybody goes to the grocery store like that every now and then. However, if I'm going to go out shopping, I might want to put some makeup on, fix my hair a little bit, wear something decent. When I go to a Plexus event, I may want to be in business casual clothing at least. So just think about that. What you project out is what you're going to attract in. Yes, I put clothing, hair, hygiene. If you're stinky, who are you going to attract? Stinky people, right? So think about that. It's just something to think about. Just what you put out is what you're going to get back. So I'm going to keep it real here. Making changes in your life can be really hard, and it can be scary, okay? It can be so tough. There's something that I'm working on right now personally, and it's hard. I've been a certain way in one part of my life for a long time, and I'm trying to become, it's vulnerability, can't even say the word, to live life more open-heartedly, to be more open with people and to allow more people in. Because sometimes I put up a guard. I'm scared to let people in, and there's reasons. There's legitimate reasons why I've been like that. But to try to open up and just allow more people to get closer to me than what I ever did before, it's hard. It is scary. But you know what? Feel the fear and do it anyway. So whatever your issues are, if you have them, and most people do, we all have our own, it's scary to change, but it will be worth it. So feel the fear and do it anyway. So I hope that we're going to come off screen share. I don't know if I'm off of it yet. Oh, goodness. I forget how this thing works, you guys. We got 2 minutes and 55 seconds left. So what I will do is I will unmute. We're going to stop recording.